Welcome back to the channel for another video. Today we're here and we're back in the seat talking about Wrexham Football Club. More specifically, we are continuing the theme of looking on the financial side of the club, given obviously over the past couple of weeks we've received the recent financial statement from Wrexham Football Club from the 24-25 League One campaign. Today I've got a video that a couple of you suggested in the comment section of my reaction to the financial statement. Today we're going to be taking a dive into how our finances compare to the promoted Championship sides last season to the Premier League and mid-table Premier League sides. It's going to be an interesting one. We're going to be looking at a whole host of different figures, how Wrexham compare to some of the biggest teams in the biggest leagues in world football, and we're going to just ultimately be given an overview as to how Wrexham's finances could look if we were to ever reach the top flight of English football. Before we get into today's video, if you're looking for the best Wrexham AFC content, it's coming your way on the channel. Make sure to get down there and click the red subscribe button. We're on the road to 29,000 subscribers. Any support is massively appreciated. Let's go for 350 likes on today's video. Make sure as well, I think there's a hype button on YouTube which helps push the video into the algorithm, so if you could click the hype button, it'd be massively appreciated. And in today's video we're going to be looking at 4 key financial figures that will be compared to the variety of teams picked out. We're going to be looking at wages, losses, commercial income and overall turnover from the football clubs from the previous 24-25 season. These numbers are obviously going to fluctuate massively given the financial difference between a League One side and a Premier League side, but I think it's going to give us a good indication as to what Wrexham's finances would look like if we were to ever reach the Premier League. So those 4 figures that I have just read out, Wrexham's are: wages were 19.9 million, losses were 14.85 million, commercial income was 23.3 million, turnover was 33.3 million. So we're going to be starting off with the 2 promoted sides from the Championship to the Premier League last season. Burnley had yet to release their financial statement from that season, so we're going to be looking at Leeds United and Sunderland and comparing how they are compared to Wrexham's from last season. Leeds United's wages were £103 million, which is plus 83.1 million. The losses were 49.1 million plus 34.25 million from Wrexham's. Commercial was 50.3 million, a plus 27 difference. A turnover of 136.8 million, a plus 103.5 million. Now, these numbers for Leeds United are dwarfing any Championship team from last year due to the parachute payments received and the huge commercial revenue that they do have. That will be the one that stands out to you. £50.3 million for a Championship side in commercial revenue is abnormally large due to the partnership they gained with Red Bull and the continued one with Adidas. Obviously the turnover as well, you're looking nearly £137 million. That is an all-time record for a Championship team in the second tier. So these numbers for Leeds United are probably a once, not in a lifetime, maybe once in a decade, once in every 5, 6, 7 years, because obviously they're receiving the parachute payments. The commercial side of things, they've gained a massive amount of exposure due to Red Bull, the 49ers coming in, etc. So, and if you are thinking as well why these numbers are so high for a Championship team, and you might think these numbers are just way above anything that Wrexham will ever see, it's because so many sides from the relegation from the Premier League to the Championship, they receive those parachute payments. If you get relegated within the first season of being in the Premier League, you come back down to the Championship and receive 2 payments for the following 2 seasons, which are large sums of money. They're not going to be 10, 20 million. You are looking at hundreds of millions of pounds that these teams do receive due to obviously them jumping down from the Premier League. There's so much obviously financial difference between the Championship and the Premier League that a team that is going back down could suffer a big financial hit, so it secures them financially and entering any money problems. So these numbers for Leeds United are mostly down to the parachute payments received. Moving on to Sunderland, they had wages of £53 million, a 33.1 million increase from Wrexham's. Losses were just 1.1 million, which is 13.75 million less than Wrexham. Commercial income of 38.8 million plus 15.5 million and a turnover of 40.3 million, just a 7 million increase from Wrexham. Now, you're looking at this, the number that jumps out for Sunderland is the very low losses. This is due to big player sales. Joe Bellingham obviously being the main one that stands out, went to Borussia Dortmund for a lot of money. The turnover again is very similar to Wrexham's, and it shows that Wrexham in League One were producing these Championship numbers. The commercial revenue, if Wrexham can get that on the money this season in the Championship, they're going to be up there for a big financial revenue in terms of the commercial side of things, the sponsorships, the advertising, etc. And there's obviously a big difference in wages, but I wouldn't really be too surprised if Wrexham's reached that. It's obviously just over half of what we are paying in League One compared to the Sunderland team that did get promoted to the Championship. We've brought in so many good players for a large sum of money who are going to be on big wages at the club. So don't be surprised if when the financial report does come out next season that you see Wrexham's report and wages reach upwards of probably 30-35 million, maybe even higher. So moving on to the Premier League, obviously the teams that you want to be hearing about, we're going to start off with Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now Wolverhampton Wanderers' wages for the Premier League last season were £142.42 million, losses of £15.3 million, commercial revenue of £24.6 million, a turnover of £171.97 million. Now, the reason why Wolves' losses are so low and similar to what Wrexham's losses were as a League One team is they benefit so heavily off player sales. The one standing out is Matheus Cunha obviously going to Manchester United for £62.5 million. That's why Wolverhampton Wanderers' losses are so low in this, and only a £450,000 difference between us and a Premier League team and Wolverhampton Wanderers, because these Premier League teams rely so heavily on the player sales, which we'll get talking on later in the video. And it does just further show as well, there's just over £1 million in difference in the commercial revenue, so it should be an area where Wrexham are looking to really penetrate on in the Championship this season. And who knows, if we were to go up to the Premier League, what the commercial revenue would be for the football club, because as it stands, we're looking at Wrexham in the League One, £23.3 million. That is nearly rivaling some of the Premier League teams in this list. So this season, it's going to be so interesting to see how much Wrexham have banked commercially. Moving on to West Ham, they had a wage bill of £176 million, losses of £104.2 million, commercial revenue of £42 million, turnover of £221.7 million. Now, the losses for West Ham United are significantly higher than any other season because they failed to qualify for European football. They had a lower table finish in the Premier League, and it's all these small factors that you fans at home might not understand. If you go up to the Premier League, one place in the Premier League can have a big financial difference as to obviously the losses that a club does generate over the course of the season, because West Ham United qualifying for European football in the past couple of seasons, their losses will have been significantly low. I think even in some seasons they did make a profit. So obviously you're looking at Declan Rice as well going to Arsenal a couple of seasons ago. They were holding on to that Declan Rice card in terms of making sure their losses were lower. So if you're looking at this, it's like player sales, table finishes, all these small factors have a huge impact on the club's finances. Nottingham Forest, they had a wage bill of £148.1 million, losses of £71.1 million, commercial revenue of £38.51 million, and a turnover of £221.7 million. Now, overall, looking at the three teams we've just said, and obviously just looking at the previous two, it shows once again that when the statement does come out this season for the Championship figures, Wrexham will be firmly in the mix for commercial revenue in and around these Premier League teams. If we're looking statistically and sort of sensibly at the number that Wrexham could generate from commercial revenue, we're looking at West Ham, £42 million. They're one of the biggest clubs in London. Nottingham Forest, £38.51 million. If I'm being serious and if I'm being genuinely honest with you at home, I think that number could rise above £30 million for Wrexham. It could go even higher. There's so much potential for Wrexham to just hold that value and hold the value of the club's name in terms of sponsorship and advertising so high. If we do decide to penetrate, like I said, on that area and that sector of advertising, of sponsorship, of just everything on the club's kits, the training shirts, etc., Wrexham could make some real money this season off the sponsorship side. And Crystal Palace, they had a wage bill of £110.83 million, losses of £58.9 million, commercial revenue of £33.9 million, which again is just a £10 million increase from Wrexham in League One, and a turnover of £196.6 million. So overall, we can see these Premier League sides have just got absolutely incredibly huge figures, and it is obviously a big difference on League One, and it is a big difference in the teams that are registering their numbers in the Championship, and it's because of the money. It's because of that prize of the promotion to the Premier League is just so massive, and it's bigger than ever. I think I saw in 2005 the price of getting promoted to the Premier League was around £30-40 million. Last season, Sheffield United v Sunderland in the playoff final was worth upwards of £200 million. It is just absolutely crazy, and it's one kick of a ball. If that round football goes in the net, it's worth nearly £250 million for a club going up to the Premier League, which is just ridiculous, and it's all because of the Sky Sports deal, I think it ranges of £6.7 billion over the next 4 seasons. That is why so many clubs are getting this turnover of 150, 200 million pounds. It's because they're getting a large chunk of the price of their matches getting televised on Sky Sports. It is all down to the TV and broadcasting money, which is why these numbers are so high in comparison to Wrexham. And again, it is just absolutely crazy. Wrexham is so close to securing that playoff spot, and in the playoffs, as we've seen over the past couple of seasons across League 2, League 1 and the Championship, form, quality in the sides just completely goes out the window because anything can happen in those playoffs. Like we saw with Sunderland, they produced a miracle against Coventry, scoring that last minute winner from Don Ballard, and then we're looking at the playoff final where Tommy Watson scored with virtually the last kick of the game. So anything can happen in the playoffs, and if Wrexham are to get there, why not dream and why not begin to look at how big this could be for the football club financially? And as well, you are looking at the losses of some of the clubs in this list, 70 million, 50 million, and if you are looking at, you know, the likes of Wolves who had a £15 million loss, it's because of they're minimising their losses in the top flight, which is down to player sales. It's as simple as that, which is something that Wrexham have not experienced yet under the takeover of Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. We've seen it previously where clubs have poached our players, and you know, it's probably been for the better because the club needed that money. That is what's going to happen in the Premier League. You're going to have PSI, you're going to have FFP come in place. Unfortunately, there will be a time where I think Wrexham, if we are to get to the Premier League, will be forced to sell some of our key players in order to align with the losses that a club can make in the Premier League to avoid a points deduction, etc. So I think it is something we will see. Clubs will approach some of our key players, whether it'll be the key players that we sell or whether it'll be more of the squad, sporadic players in the squad, we really don't know. But I think that's something we're going to have to accept in order to minimise losses and maximise profits in the football club. So that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like. If you'd like to see more financial videos on Wrexham Football Club, and then make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Do all that good stuff, subscribe, etc. Until the next video, take care, up the Championship Reds.